Ladies and gentlemen, this is the final score with
Eric. How about them Cowboys saw ya?
And I'm the new elected mayor for Johns Nation, Matthew Batesmore.
And Stevie Reno Fly. What's up, guys? It's the final score on the fly together tonight. We hadn't done this in a while. Figured we'd go live and see what you guys were up to. It's right into football season. I mean, college, pro, weird day in the NFL. NFL has no dominant team this year, guys. I take it back. When your dominant team is the Minnesota Vikings, they're undefeated, led by quarterback Sam Darnold. I mean, is this bizarro world or what? Sam Darnold leading the Vikings. Of course, they played in London today against the Jets. Managed to, dominated the first half, picked off Aaron Rodgers twice, and then hangs on to win 23-17. They picked him off on the last drive down there as the Jets were threatening to score. So, I have to come on here. Sorry, I haven't been on in a while, and just had a lot. I've just got a lot going on. I mean, coaching football, work, and just life is just my motivation has been down. I'll put it that way to come on here, and I'll apologize for that. But I am going to be back. Hopefully, this will start off new things. If you haven't checked out the final score on the fly, please do. Please go to our. You can share. You can join our Facebook groups. The final score. Friend me on Facebook, Stevie Flower. You can the final score or on the flies. Yeah, it's final score too. They wouldn't let me put on the fly on Facebook. That's just Facebook for you. But yeah, I'm back. A big day in football. Looking at the game tonight, which I'm a Steelers fan. Cowboys and Steelers is currently in a weather delay, and it could be an hour. What they're saying, it could be an hour before the game actually starts. And I guess every time a lightning strikes, it goes up again. It's kind of like the same way in high school and college football. They do the same thing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that game. Going through some of the games today. What about the Washington Commanders, guys? Now you talk about a dominant team. And the Vikings are undefeated. But the Washington Commanders, led by a rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, are dominating the NFL right now. Who would have thought this? I mean, I want to look. I mean, they beat that dumpster fire that they called the Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson and the most overrated defensive player in NFL, Myles Garrett. Everybody went into this game or went into this season with the Cleveland Browns saying Cleveland Browns are going to be a Super Bowl contender. Guys, I've been watching football a long time. I've been watching the Cleveland Browns a long time. Let me tell you guys something. They always find a way to screw it up. And this year has been no different. I'm trying to look up here, pull up the Commanders. They dominate. I mean, they just get beat. They got dominated, 34-13. And look, what do you know? Washington is 4-1 on top of the NFC East. And I mean, but right now, they look like the best team, and better than the Cowboys. And you Cowboy fans out there, y'all can say what you want to, but you know what's true, that they right now they do look better than the Cowboys. Cowboys, I mean, we'll get to that in a minute. But I'm trying to pull up. Here's a recap. Deshaun Watson gets sacked 7 times and just didn't look. I mean, I guess there was a fourth down play where 4th and short near the end of the first half, and it was 20. I don't know what was scored halftime. 24-3, and they had to go for a field goal because they got delayed game. Deshaun Watson didn't know what he was doing. I guess he was looking at a. Never mind. When is Cleveland going to realize Deshaun Watson has lost it? He is not. He doesn't need to be leading that team. You paid all this money. I said it when it happened then. You paid way too much for him. People got on me. People got on me because I made a post about Dak getting too much money for no more than he did. Deshaun Watson, same thing. I mean, where's the track record to prove to me that you deserve that money, that kind of money? The fact that you took a year off from football, you've got legal problems at the wazoo, and we're still going to pay you all this money. Hey, the typical Cleveland Brown move. But yeah, back to it. Looking at the stats, Jaden Daniels 14 for 25, 238 yards. The only blemish he had was one interception he threw, and I mean, I think they've had like 2 turnovers this year. If I'm not mistaken, I may be wrong on that, but 2 turnovers. That's insane. 200 yards total offense for Cleveland to 434 for Washington. 7 sacks. They had it. Yeah, he had an interception. And granted, Deshaun Watson did throw an interception, but he had 125 yards passing. Is that what you want your multi-million-dollar quarterback stat line to be? And let me see if I can pull his stats up for the year. Because they're not good. I was hoping this game would be on. We could talk about this game as it's gone, but evidently it's going to be a while before that. 727 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, quarterback rating of 74.4. That's not good, guy. Not for a guy you paid all this money to. $862,000 a year. I mean, and now Stefanski is saying he's not changing quarterbacks. Well, you can keep losing with Deshaun Watson in there if you want to, but you can get fired too, because this team was supposed to be the great team, and definitely not showing that. Now it's pouring down rain. Looking at it right now on TV, pouring down rain at Pittsburgh, so it's probably going to be a while. Oh, a Cowboys fan and a Steelers fan out there together in the middle of the rain. One's waving a terrible towel. How is it that the players can get off the field, but you don't make the fans get off the field? That's crazy. So hopefully you guys have been doing okay. Like I said, it's been a while. And we've had, I'm in the middle of a coaching football season, not going too well, but you have those bad years too, and we got a young team. So hopefully We got one more game left, so hopefully we can go out with a win on that game. Yeah, they're showing highlights of the Jets and Minnesota United. So, Rodgers throws a pick six. Is this okay, guys? Everybody had the Jets as Super Bowl contenders. Oh, great defense. Another one like the Browns with this great defense. What has happened here? I mean, they're 2-3. This is Aaron Rodgers not? I mean, sometime or another, unless you're Tom Brady, you're going to see your skills diminish. I think maybe, of course, he led the comeback, almost comeback. They got within 3. But overall, and he pulled up lame a couple of times out here. They're showing the highlights right now. I didn't get to see this game. I was working today, so a lot of these highlights I didn't get to see. But yeah, they cut it to 3, and that was about as close as they got. So I mean, and then throws a pick on a back shoulder throw. Yeah, that's not good. And then he got mad at the Vikings players were dancing in front of him. Last 2 losses, he's had two touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and sacked 8 times. Wow. This is not a Super Bowl contender team, buddy. I'm sorry. Maybe, who knows? Are they going to go after Davante Adams? That's possible too. But just because of their relationship, there's a good possibility that Davante Adams ends up in New York. But is that going to make a difference with the defense? I don't know. I don't know if it is. It's just too. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is supposed to be the great Aaron Rodgers, and he's not showing it right now. I'll tell you though, Minnesota's defense, they're pretty good. Brian Flores is doing a great job with this team. Who would have thought? Sam Darnold didn't have a great game today. I mean, that pick six was 3 turnovers and one in a bad that back shoulder throw he was trying to throw at the end. He just put it in a spot where the only one that really could catch it was the defender. And he's looking for a flag. But I don't know, dude. It's I just think Aaron Rodgers has by far seen his best days. What about getting on college football? Nick Saban, one of the greats to ever coach college football. Alabama coach, retired last year. Does not stop him from making comments like the only place that was hard to play, all the other SEC places were hard to play except Vanderbilt. That's not a direct quote. I'm not quoting him word for word there. But yeah, what happened yesterday? Vanderbilt with the major upset of Alabama, number 1 team in the country. Alabama Crimson Tide goes down. And I mean, to say that was a major upset is a understatement. Haven't beat them, what, I think it was maybe 3 years. You just don't think of Vanderbilt as one of the teams that could come up and upset Alabama, a number 1 team, much less Alabama. And I don't know if you guys saw it or not. I don't know who number 13 for Alabama is, let me see if I can find Alabama's roster. He's a defensive player. And this is the true sign of a little brat that when he loses, it's like a little baby. When he loses, okay, here he is. Malachi Moore, defensive back. If you haven't, look it up. Malachi Moore loses his cool in game's final second Saturday. You saw him talking. First thing he did, he slammed one of the Vanderbilt's players' head, grabbed him by the face mask, slammed his head into the turf or to the field, and then you could see him when Vanderbilt was taking knees. You could see him over there yelling out stuff, punching in the air. Then he threw his mouthpiece on the Vanderbilt side of the ball. Then he gets up and goes over to where the referee set the ball, kicks the ball. This is how some of your so-called elite players act when they lose. You know, you gotta learn how to be a winner, but don't be a sore loser. That right there said all I need to know about some of the players on that football team. I mean, yeah, it's great that you've got that tradition with Alabama, and you were the number one team in the country, and that's okay to be emotional about it and to be upset that you lost, but to act like a little baby, like a little spoiled brat, I don't know. We talk about Nick Saban. Now, if Nick Saban was coaching this team, there would be some repercussions for his attitude. Let me see. Let's check in, see if they got anything on the game. No, game's still in delay. But yeah, that would have been unacceptable with Nick Saban. We'll see what this new coach does. They're showing the Washington highlights now. Jayden Daniels, man, Chicago right now. Of course, Chicago beats the Panthers, but who doesn't beat the Panthers? Chicago might be kicking themselves for not taking Jayden Daniels, because it looks like I just hope, all you Washington fans out there, I hope you don't have a repeat of RG3. I hope you've learned from how they did RG3, how much they pushed him too far. I mean, you played him hurt, and you ruined RG3. Yep, Deshaun Watson just getting pummeled every time you turn around. Yeah, he doesn't have it anymore, guys. If he does, he doesn't care. I mean, he may not even care anymore. He don't have that fire into him. But Jayden Daniels' most rushing yards by a quarterback in first 5 career games is 300 yards rushing. So he does it. I mean, this is the prototype NFL quarterback, what they want now. He can throw the ball. I mean, he just put one on a dot right here. I know my buddy Lynn Bryan is happy about this. I messaged him today, and he said it felt kind of weird to be 4-1. I mean, they won 4 games all of last year, and they've won 4 out of 5. Who did they lose to? Let's see. We're gonna find out who they lost to. Okay, so week 1. Did they lose the first week? They lost to Tampa Bay. That's the only game they lost to since, and that was the first week. So they've won 4 in a row. I mean, like I said, Bizarro World, Redskins, and the Vikings, or Commanders, excuse me, and Vikings are on top of the NFC right now. Let's see if they got standings. Chicago just whips up on Carolina, which, I mean, like I said, guys, the Carolina's pitiful. Things continue trending up with Caleb Williams Bears offense. That's because you played the freaking Panthers. NFL, let's see. Standings. So right now, NFC East, Commanders on top with a 4-1 record. Cowboys play tonight. Eagles haven't played. Are they off this week? Giants get the win over Seattle, over the Seahawks. I guess the sun did come out tomorrow for some of you Seahawks fans. Where are the Seahawks at? Seahawks are on top, still on top of the NFC West with a 3-2 record, but yeah, some of these Seahawks fans that were talking, we're undefeated. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't end up biting me in the butt because we were undefeated too and lost last week in a game that really ticked me off. Getting on the soapbox for me, and I'm not just saying it because it happened to the Steelers. When are we going to start putting flags out there on the field for the NFL? Because last week, a key play late in the game, an overthrown pass, Minkah Fitzpatrick trying to hold up, didn't even hit with his head, but hit with his shoulder. Didn't really hit it that hard. He tried to hold up and gets an unsportsmanlike penalty called automatic first down. I mean, it's pitiful some of the calls you see where these referees make today. And you get granted, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you the story about. And one of the things that referees have really stressed to us as coaches before every game, sportsmanship. You're going to show sportsmanship. If not, we're going to take care of it. Okay. There was a game, our game Friday night. There was a player who continuously was, standing over our players, talking trash to them when they go after the play. And he said something on our sidelines after a play Friday night. I told the referee, I was like, you going to let him get away with that? You don't let him sit there? He said, well, I've told him 3 times. I said, well, if you told him 3 times, then there should have been some, you got a flag in your pocket for a reason. You should throw a flag. That's the only way you're going to stop him. He sees you keep warning him. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to stop. He's going to keep doing it. So that was like, and I told him it was like talking to a statue. He said, I'm trying to help you, coach. He said, I'm not going to argue with you. I was like, well, I mean, I'm not arguing. I'm just saying you can take care of that. And that's what I'm saying. We've had referees that want to throw flags for shirt tail being out, but a late hit or unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, they don't want to do anything about that. But yeah, you got to have your shirt tail in. It's getting to a point with at all levels of football that you don't things that are supposed to be called and should be called or getting put on the back burner for a little minute stuff. And now, I don't know, it's more of a business now, guys. We said this before. It's more of a business than anything. And I'm just, some of it I'm just tired of. I really am. some of the things they get away with. All right, so let's go back. Who else we got play? Did I see the Seahawks get beat? Billy Burgess, I agree. I would hate to do it because I know what I say to some of the referees and what. But here's the thing: when you see a referee, how do I put it? Okay, I'll go back to another game earlier this year, and it seems like with a small private school that I'm coaching at in North Carolina, we're not going to get the cream of the crop as far as a referee school, referees. We're going to get the new ones that hadn't done if any games. I'm convinced this one guy that we had, this was his first game. The team we played against, they were getting ready to score. They were at like the 2-yard line. Their quarterback goes to stretch out. Before he can stretch, he had the ball back. Before he could even stretch it, one of the guys hits him. The ball pops loose. He's over there. He's the line judge. He's looking right down the line, and he's doing this number. He's holding his hand, then putting it down, keeps holding it back up. Then the guy from the other side is going, no, they didn't get it. So the guy, the young kid, the new guy, he goes to the back judge to say, what was it? And I'm like, how can you ask the back judge what the call was when he's not looking down the freaking line? I mean, so gave him the touchdown. I said something about it. Nothing, of course, nothing got done. He didn't even speak a word. This kid didn't speak a word, hardly any, all night to me. He was on our sidelines. So later in the game, one of my defensive backs makes a picture-perfect interception, takes off down the sideline. This will tell you I'm not just crying sour grapes because they make calls against us. Our kid is trying to avoid, let me take this off, avoid, of course, one of the opposing team. He steps right in front of this referee, 2 feet out of bounds. That referee never blew his whistle till our guy crossed the end zone. And then, I mean, he stepped out of bounds probably like the 35 or the 40. So he ran another 40 yards, let's say. And the guy never said anything, never blew his whistle to stop the play until he crossed the end zone. And I knew there was no doubt about it. He stepped 2 feet out of bounds. Matter of fact, he almost had to go behind the referee. Didn't mark him out. He finally blew the whistle. He's like, oh, I better do this now. So yeah. And then to tell you, and when I talk about how they get upset about little pissy little things that have they have no deal to get, no reason to get upset about. We have a ball boy. What do you have a ball? Anybody know what you have a ball boy on the sidelines for? You have a ball boy on the sidelines to switch out the balls when the balls get slick or wet. That's what you got one for. So our center it wasn't like every other play, but he was asking a few times for, still raining and lightning in Pittsburgh. Well, man, this may be a late. But anyway, he was asking for a ball. I mean, nothing out of the ordinary. So in the third quarter, near the end of the third quarter. He calls for the ball. He asked, and he even asked the referee. He said, "I've got a towel. Can I wipe the ball off myself?" Didn't want to do that either. So after they're switching the balls out, and finally the new kid on the sideline decides to speak up to me, and he says, "Coach, we ain't gonna keep switching these balls out." I said, and I turned around, and this was after those two plays that he didn't make the call on, or made questionable calls on. I was like, what the heck have we got a freaking ball boy for? The ball boy's over there to be able to change the balls out when we need to. And he didn't. He just looked at me like, we're not. So I said something to him. I said, you hadn't done anything all night. I said, you might as well get some kind of work. So the back judge comes in and starts getting on me then. We make the calls when the balls need to be switched out. And I was like, well, maybe you need to make the call a little more. I mean, because y'all are not doing it. I mean, stuff like that over freaking switching a ball out. That's stupidity. And then you miss a freaking call on the sidelines. You mess up a touchdown call, which, well, he fumbled and we got the ball. We recovered the ball. So I don't know. I know it's a tough job. I know you have to put up with a lot, but at least be decent. I mean, make decent calls. And this guy just didn't do that. I mean, and I've only had one unsportsmanlike conduct called on me in my coaching career, 15 years. One time I had it. I told the referee he missed a couple of late hits, but they were calling them on us. So I was talking to him. I was just working him up, and he said, "I said, I know why you didn't call it. You don't even have a flag in your pocket." And yeah, by that time he went and started pulling a flag out. So, and that's what I told him too. I said, now that I know that you got one, start making some freaking calls. And it is what it is, guys. I know I can, sometimes I just, I don't know. It's frustrating. Yeah, basketball. I mean, all sports, dude. I mean, baseball. You see some of these baseball games on TikTok where the umpire gets beat up. I mean, and I'm sure basketball is the same way. I've said a lot to some basketball referees too, and I don't coach basketball, but I've said a lot to them. But yeah, and that's in Charlotte 4A. Let me tell you, that's what I'm talking about. When you think about how these officials get spread out, I mean, of course, there's booking agencies in each region, and Charlotte 4A and Charlotte's probably got some of the better referees out there. We went to a state playoff game one year, and we had a totally different referee crew than I'd ever seen before. They sent some of the top referees around there, and I'd never seen some of them. And then the state championship game we went to that year, there was a whole new crew that I'd never heard of, never seen before. So it's possible to see, see some good referees. And I'm not saying all the referees around here are bad. I mean, I can name one off the top of my head. We butt heads sometimes. There's two of them that I know of at the top of my head. And I'm not saying they're the only two, but Howard Hunter, love when he's my white hat. He will work with me. I mean, he doesn't just some referees, like the White Hats, won't even talk to you when you got a question about something. But Howard will talk to me. He'll explain it to me, and I have no problem with that. Doug Prince is another one. I don't know if he's I think he's out of Virginia, but he's done a lot of our games, and I get along fine with him. I get along fine with any of them that will work with me, that will talk to me, that will, when I have a question about a call, they'll tell me. A lot of times I'm wrong, but when you have a, and I didn't mean to get on a soapbox talking about referee. I'll probably pay for this the next game I play if anybody's watching. But when you have a referee that says there was a call, there was 9 of their players in the huddle. One of them ran off the field. That's a penalty. Last time I checked, that's a penalty. And he said, oh, no, that's not a penalty. And then there was another call that he missed. Was it 2 men in motion? And they did it like 3 plays in a row. He said, well, you can do so-and-so. You can do, maybe it wasn't in motion, but he said, you can do that. This is the head referee now. And then he makes the call against them when they did it the next time. I said, well, I thought you said that was legal. So, yeah, I know I've got on this freaking referee rampage right quick, but I'm going to get off of that before I get myself in trouble. College football yesterday, we talked about the Alabama upset. There were so many upsets yesterday in the top 10. Washington over Michigan, Arkansas over Tennessee. Hold on, I got to stop for it. What are the Panthers going to do? Billy, I'm going to tell you the honest God truth. I don't know what you can do. You give up most of your draft capital last year, and you traded. I mean, I said last year when they made that trade to get the number 1 pick, you got to start over. You got to just rebuild everything sometime. So you're going to have to give up some of your weapons. And, everybody was saying Bryce Young. Dude, that kid, and I know compared to me, he's probably a decent sized guy. But that kid looks like, compared to like high school, he looked like a middle school player on a high school team. I mean, just the size. Size is one thing, but I was like, okay, he's small. Maybe he can move the ball around. Maybe he'll be okay. No. Yeah, Dalton had looked. I mean, that just made him look even worse when Dalton came in and lit it up. Who was that against? The Raiders? And Dalton didn't do bad last week against the Bengals, but today, no, it just wasn't Dalton's day. Dalton is an older guy. He's been around a while. And here's another question, guys. I've heard some talk about this week. You've got, okay, I'll tell you a good example. Last week, Pittsburgh and Indianapolis. Richardson to start quarterback for the Colts, who they've got a lot of high hopes for. He's one of the prototypical NFL quarterbacks right now. He's a guy that gets around in the pocket. He's athletic. He can throw. He can run. That's the kind of guy Pittsburgh prepared for. Now, he gets hurt. He had a hip injury. Joe Flacco comes to the game. You've got a totally different quarterback. Joe Flacco, he's up there in age too, but guess what? Joe Flacco can still play. And they were not prepared for that. That kind of quarter. The Steelers were not prepared. And Flacco moved the ball right down the field on him, made some big plays on third down. Yes, experience is one thing, but most of the time when you get a backup quarterback that comes in that game, especially the first couple of series, that backup quarterback, if he's got any kind of pedigree, any kind of experience with him, he's going to lead that team down the field because that defense hasn't prepared for them. They prepare for a whole different kind of quarterback all week, not a pocket quarterback like Flacco is. And Flacco lit them up, and Pittsburgh made a comeback, got within 3, but that was as close as they got. But big plays by Flacco, that was the key to that game. And it just, I listened to Ben Roethlisberger's podcast, and he said the same thing. That's what happened to you. I mean, but y'all were playing the Raiders too. And the Raiders are just, Broncos whipped up on the Raiders this week too. 34-18. I think Minshew's going to be benched. Raiders are just in fuck. Devontae Adams wants out. I don't blame him. Where he ends up, who knows? Probably New York. I know Pittsburgh has said they're going to be aggressively pursuing him. So we'll see. But I mean, I'm sure they're saying either the Jets or the Saints with Carr at the Saints. But I'm like somebody else said yesterday. Didn't they try that with the Raiders before Carr left, and that didn't work? Carr got sent away. So I'm sure Aaron Rodgers and the Jets have the inside track on getting Devontae Adams, but we'll see. I guess it's up to the Raiders. The Raiders have got a lot to do with it as well. What were we talking? We were talking about college football, the upsets, and how about that comeback by Miami? What were they down 35-10 to Cal, and then they come back and win 39-38. But it was just a crazy day, and the Texas A&M just demolished Missouri. Let's see if I can find the AP poll. Let's see what that looks like. Texas, they had a week off. They were number one. They're number one. Ohio State at 2. Oregon, who struggled at the first of the year, but evidently they've come on strong now because they moved up to number 3. Penn State at 4. Georgia moves up. Well, they stay at 5. Penn State jumped 3 spots to number 4. Tennessee falls to 8. Alabama from 1 to 7. Ole Miss comes up from 12-9. Clemson gets back in the top 10. Dabo. I don't know. After that thrashing they took at the opening game against Georgia. Let's see. And my computer wants to not show me my Iowa State undefeated. They're tied for 11th with Notre Dame. LSU at 13. BYU is undefeated. They're at 14. Texas A&M, they drop. Or they move up 10 spots to 15th. Utah, they're 16th. Boise State, 17th. Kansas State, Indiana, undefeated. Indiana's put some points on the board too, guys. That may be a team you got to watch out for. Oklahoma tied. Well, they're tied for 18th. They're really 20th. Missouri drops to 21st. Pitt moves into it undefeated after the win over Carolina. They move into the top 25. Illinois, Michigan drops 14 spots, almost out of the top 25 at defending national championship. Boy, Harbaugh, I guess he knew what he was doing, huh? SMU, after that knocking off Louisville, they move into the top 25 as well. What happened? Did anybody see did the UNLV win this week? Of course, I guess you guys know about the quarterback from UNLV, and I can't remember his name, that decides, they lost in overtime to Syracuse. their quarterback said he wouldn't get paid the NIL money that he was supposed to get. So he decided to redshirt after the third game, and he's leaving the team. He's going to enter the transfer portal. And their running back followed suit. But that game, the next game, UNLV ended up putting like 50 on the board, I think. So it didn't make that much of a difference. This still in a delay, guys. This could be early morning hours for Pittsburgh and Dallas. Would they cancel? Well, they wouldn't cancel this game. You know what? There's people out there on Facebook, and you got hold on a second. That's what I want to say. Yeah, some of them talking about that raggedy state. If y'all were playing indoors, we'd be playing ball by now. Guess what? How many teams have indoor facilities? I mean, I'm sure the Steelers aren't the only ones that play outdoors. Washington plays outdoors. The Giants play outdoors. I mean, shut up with the freaking Cowboy fans. Some of you guys kill me. God. And I know it's not all of you, but gosh, no, being ignorant like that is what really don't even get me started on that. Like they control the weather. I know. Well, according to some people, the weather can be controlled. I mean, that's debated. That's being debated right now. And before we go any further about sports and stuff, the guys, everybody is, unless you've been under a rock or been in a coma for a while, everybody knows what happened with Hurricane Helene, affecting a lot of the East Coast, especially the mountains of North Carolina. It's a tragedy. I mean, I would never thought that something like this would happen in the mountains. I mean, it's crazy to think about it, because this is just it's one of the worst things that has ever happened here or around. I mean, in this country, as far as hurricanes go. And I know I want to take this time to say, take my hat off to these people, especially in my area. I know there's a lot of people in all parts of the state that are sending stuff there, but there's a lot of guys around here that are going up there and taking stuff with them and doing work. Look, first of all, take your hat off to the linesmen, the electrical workers that are putting their lives on the line every day, try to get these people power back. I mean, I saw one that had to rig something up, a ladder with something else up, going over it looked like a freaking pond, and he's working on a electrical wire. So how dangerous is that? The linesmen, you guys deserve more than what you get paid, to come out and do what you do, to take time away from your families, to work 16 to 18-hour days, and you deserve more than what you get paid. Because I know myself, when my power goes out, I feel like I'm helpless. I feel like everything it's catastrophe. And I can't imagine it. I do remember as a kid, an ice storm happened, and we were without power for about a week. And I guess in this day and age, with all this technology and stuff, you really have so much that you can do. But when we were kids, most of what we did was outside, and so it didn't really. It was an inconvenience, of course, but it didn't affect you like it would now. Um, yeah, it was. I the last time our power went out, it was like, oh my gosh, when is the power going to come back on? So, but yeah, I can't imagine what those people are going through. Some of the people, Robbie Howe, Crab Trucking, Robbie Birdsong, and whoever else that I leave out of that group, the Conway Fire Department, all the fire departments around Alaska, you guys, I mean, the people that did, of course, the people donated to this place, and they just took the donation. But still, these guys from like Robbie Birdsong and Robbie Howe and his crew, their crews, they drove down there with 18 wheelers full of stuff that they left there and came back. And I'm sure they'll probably go again. So, and then you look at people from like Runner Rapids, like Tracy Story. I mean, I don't know this guy. I know of him. I know he's running for like Halifax County Sheriff. And I know he's done a lot. It seems like he's done a lot of good over the years. I see him on Facebook. I know he's got his store, his tire store, and he's done a lot of good. But man, if you watch this guy, and this guy doesn't want a pat on the back for doing this. He's just updating people on how things were down there. He went live a couple of times, and man, he got emotional and talked about some of the things he says. We've seen some bad things, and we've seen some good things. We've seen some neighbors come together, and he didn't criticize how things were being handled down there. He said he didn't want to. He had heard some stories, but he didn't want to criticize. He didn't want to be negative. He was trying to be positive. And I my hat's off to all those guys and everyone that's done something to help these people out, because they need help. They really need help. It's no telling how many people have lost their lives for this, that they will, and there's some they'll probably never find. But yeah, be grateful for what you have around here, guys, because it can get taken away in a heartbeat. This year has been extremely tough on me. I've going through some things, but I sit there after seeing some of this stuff, and I'm like, how can I complain? I have my house, I have my family, I have my friends. It just kind of humbles you. How can you complain or feel sorry for yourself when these people are going through something that you hopefully I'll never have to deal with? But my prayers, my thoughts, and my prayer, and I usually don't talk about stuff like this on the podcast. I usually stick to it, but I think those guys need some recognition, and they don't want it. Believe me, guys, they don't want it. Chris Odom, yeah, they don't want the recognition. They're doing this out of the kindness of their heart. They're doing this to try to help folks, but I'm all about giving people the flowers while they're still here, when you can. So many people want to give people their flowers after they're gone. But guess what? It don't hurt. You can do the same thing while they're still here. I take, for example, Pete Rose. Pete Rose passed away last week. All-time hits leader in Major League Baseball. Bet on games. Punished for that. Banned from baseball. And never gets in the Hall of Fame. I've talked to a lot of people about it when it happened, when it came out, and I was like, if they decide they're going to put him in the Hall of Fame right now, if I was his family, I'd tell them thank you, but no thank you. If you didn't have, excuse me, if you didn't have or if you didn't think he should get in the Hall of Fame while he was still here, then why all of a sudden you think he should get in there now? I mean, what changed besides he passed away? And you're trying to make it look like you got some compassion. That happens in a lot of different places. But guys, I'm all about giving people their, that's one thing I always heard some of my grandparents, some of my relatives, the older people around church and stuff, give them their flowers while they're still here. And I'm all about that. Give them the flowers while they're still here, guys. It's not hard to do. It's just as easy to do it while they're here as it is when they're gone. And they don't hear it. And you don't know how good that would make somebody feel to know, well, I think a lot of you, stuff like that. Give them some compliments while they're here. If you think they deserve it, go ahead and do it. So now that we're off of that for a little while, yesterday I was at work, but word started coming in about, I think his name's Grayson McCall, the NC State quarterback, taking a shot. He took a massive hit yesterday, his quarterback. And so hard, 2 hits. One of them took his helmet off and knocked his mouthpiece out. He was knocked unconscious. And you hardly, I don't remember a lot of times when a player gets hurt, unless it's freaking really, really bad, that family comes on the field. And this time, family came on the field. He was stretchered off. He gave the thumbs up, but still was concerned because he was rushed to the hospital. As far as I know, he's okay. Let's see if I can find an update. Let's see. Discharge from hospital team says he's alert. Good. Now, from what I understand, he's had some head injury issues before. So yeah, I think concussion. If he didn't have a concussion, I'll be shocked. It was a vicious hit. Dave Doran gave an injury update. Took a really vicious hit. Just sometimes football is a very violent sport at times. That was a big hit that he took. I hate it for him. You just hate to see a guy hit like that. Obviously, the results of those kind of hits are scary. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see what they say. 2023 at Arkansas State, McCall was poorly knocked unconscious and carted off the field before spending the night in the hospital. And then he missed the final 6 games of that season for that. Let's see. Released from the hospital, alert, good spirits, all scans were normal. I mean, are you saying that guy doesn't have a concussion? Because there's no way he didn't have a concussion. Wow. I don't know if that's what he meant or not. Scans were normal, but that I guess that's just talking about the MRI. Let's see. What's the NFL rumor mill? Buffalo. What about Buffalo losing? 2 in a row now. After they started out so good, Baltimore put it to them last Monday night, and then losing today to Houston on the last second field goal. Let's talk about Baltimore. Baltimore gets a big win over Cincinnati. But let me tell you, people aren't going to like what I'm about to say. Some people aren't. The Ravens were down most of that game. Cincinnati let them come back. No doubt about it. But Lamar Jackson makes a great play, fumbles the ball, and then throws a pass. Touchdown. That got them within 3. They tied it up. But then in overtime, they're across midfield. This is the part I'm talking about, plays that in pressure situations with him. He fumbles the snap. Shotgun snap. He fumbles it. And I'll tell you this, the only reason that Cincinnati lost that game was because it was a bad hold by the holder on a field goal that would have won the game for Cincinnati overtime. And then Derrick Henry takes off down the field. It was nothing Lamar did after that to help them win that game. 348 yards passing, 4 TDs, no picks. Great stat. But that pressure situation, guys. Looking to see if there's any update. 16 minutes to kickoff. So we'll get to see some, 9:45. I can't believe I'm still up right now. That's insane. I'm old. Anyway, that's going to do it for tonight, guys. I've been up here for an hour and I've probably been up here too long. But I hope you guys, I'll be back. And I'll try to get up here regularly now and hopefully have weekly episodes of both On the Fly and the Final Score. But you guys have a great night. Enjoy the football game. I know I won't be up to see the end of this. But another person I want to recognize, he's gone out west too, is my assistant coach, my buddy, Eric Sawyer, who's out there with his job. Out there for this week. Man, stay safe, buddy. And God bless you. You guys have a great night. We'll see you next time on The Fly and the Final Score.